Welcome to C21 Drive Time. Our team of realtors will be sharing industry news and insights, the occasional interview with interesting people, and some of the most unreal real estate stories you have ever heard. And here's our host.
All right, so Shari, Garnier, Taylor Madonic, this is part 2 of a earlier podcast.
Yes.
So Shari was in the throes of having her house marketed by yours truly.
Yeah.
So that was probably stressful enough. So the cool part is back then you'd had an offer that didn't come together.
And I took full responsibility for it.
It's all good. Everything happens for a reason, right? So it was your choice, we'll say that.
Yeah.
And now part 2, we're going to talk a little bit about the second half. So now, Shari is the only person in my career I've done thousands of deals that I've ever made homeless.
Oh, yeah.
I used to brag about that. I used to say, in 28 years doing this, I've never made a client homeless.
I'm a 53-year-old homeless woman.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm like,
how
shit,
fun
my
is that?
streak. I mean, darn, my streak is broken. The
but
editors
you're
will have
homeless,
to bleep that out.
but you've never felt any better.
Oh, you guys, it's so exciting.
So we're going to be short and concise to the point today, because the fun part about today is Shari chose to do something that very few will choose to do. So
she's a nut job.
No, Shari's very normal. Well, she's not normal, but she's fantastic in a not normal kind of way. So for the listeners and for other people out there that are in the real estate experience, we're going to call them, is to say, so we put your house in the market. Or the deal didn't happen. Second deal came around, and we did some negotiation.
Yep.
Okay. And that we got you to the point of pending, then we got you to the point the conditions are lifted, so it was sold.
And then all hell broke loose.
Okay, well, tell us a bit about that.
Well, it was just like the closing date, or for them to take possession, was August 19th.
Yep.
And in the midst of all, that's my daughter's birthday. So that's her 21st birthday. And I thought, okay, that's a date I won't forget. So with my brain, we'll take that one.
Yep.
But that left me from the day of pending, it was like 20 days to pack up. But I also thought, you know what? It's going to be busy whether I take a month or 2 months or 5 days.
Let's go for it.
So let's just do it. And honest to God, Chris and Taylor, the people that surfaced, I mean, I was organized and I did have categories and groups of people, but there were people that just stepped into this story and had me boxed up and labeled up, and I bought a sea can because my plan is I'm going to take a trip to Italy. That's been a little bit postponed, but it will probably be this fall. I haven't booked my ticket yet, but I've done my research. I'm going to do a yoga. I think we talked about this last time. And then I just want to take some time. It's like I've never had this opportunity in my life. My career's kind of dialed back a bit, so I've got some space there. My daughter I'm so proud of her. She's doing wonderfully, even with life that happens when it happens. And so I've got this opportunity to explore. Yep. And that's what I'm doing. So I moved everything into a sea can. It literally was like turning on a faucet. It flowed. People showed up and boxes got moved and furniture got hauled.
I think once things come official, there is a flow, there's an alignment that takes.
I'll take it one further. I think once a choice is made, then the how can show up.
Right, because you're like, now I want this.
Now I want
it's
this,
happened.
Yeah. And in when we talk about real estate, it's always, there is the ebb and flow. Yeah. And it's funny because once a person's decided to sell a property, there's a bit to it, but once they've made that decision, it's like, this is going to happen, then all of a sudden the how shows up.
Yeah.
But I got to give you credit because you made a decision to sell your home and you didn't have your next step concrete. Now, to
that's
most,
even a big word. Like, no, nothing.
No, and that's what we want to talk a bit more about, because to most that would be an absolute no-go, freak out. Our logical minds kick into gear and say, where the hell am I going? Yeah. So tell us a bit about that process.
Well, again, this whole idea of it's like a slot of time that I've been granted. I mean, you two, outside of, within a friendship, have kind of helped me to see that and realize it too. I've got this slot of time to explore what I really want. Like, what do I really want?
Freedom.
What if I don't want to live in Lloyd? What if I want to be in a condo? What if I hate a condo? What if I want to be by the mountains? What if I want to go to Arizona? Like, what if, right? So that was kind of my driving force. But yeah, I don't know, like it just happened so effortlessly and seamlessly that
you knew it was meant to be.
I knew it was meant to be, and I've driven past the house a few times. My neighbors are still dear friends.
Stalker.
Who's in my house?
And the first time I drove past it, I was really scared because I thought, oh my God, what if I've got regret? What if I'm sad?
Yep.
And it was just like this really light, uplifting feeling. It's like I was so happy for those people who I don't know who they are, seriously, if you're listening, I really don't know who you are. I'm not peeking. But they just, it's like they're home now, and they're making renovations, and the neighbors are keeping me updated on how exciting and good energy. It feels right, and it feels light. And even when I went to the sea can for the first time, it's in my brother's field. Literally, people say, where do you live? In a sea can in the middle of a field. And I thought, oh my God, I'm scared to open the doors, because what if I open it and think, Shari, you crazy fool, that you've made a mistake. I opened it up, and these friends helped me organize it. Like, I've got everything on a spreadsheet, you guys. So,
Holy man.
Yeah. So my daughter, I'm actually living with my daughter in her apartment right now. She's got a second bedroom. I'm going to stay there until my trip comes to fruition. She's like, Mom, I'd like the coffee maker and the sheepskin wrap. Just a second, honey. I'm just going to pull up my
look at my sheet.
So we went out there. We went shopping in the sea can. It's right. Like, you know, in your body when it feels right, even if in your brain you're just like, seriously, Shari, you don't actually have a plan. But I do have a plan. I call it the no plan. And if I stay out of my head and I stay out of that fear-based place, I'm just like, the world's my oyster right now.
I think you have everything that you need, and it's just you make a decision, and it's one step after the other, and not having to know the whole picture.
Yeah. And I will own another place, and I will put my roots down, and I will be able to have family dinners for Kate and her friends and her people. But right now, I'm just this free spirit, and I'm telling you, it feels like, you know, if you've ever had a wet wool sweater that's even maybe a little bit too small, and just like, get it off. It's off.
Right.
And I feel excited, and I feel light, and I'm looking forward to whatever life has to offer me right now.
Well, that's the cool part, because I mean, we've got all sorts of clients in our stable. I mean, we've got I'm going to say yourself, maybe more of a free spirit. We've got the logical ones. We've got the
gypsy.
He's looking at me. The logical. Okay.
And Taylor, you're in a position right now where your kids are smaller. Kate's now 21, if I'm not mistaken. So she's on her own. So you're at different stages of life. So as clients of ours, or people that are listening to this, everyone's at a different stage.
Yeah.
My oldest is going to graduate next year. My youngest, going to graduate next year. Then I'm empty nester too as well. Then what do we want? And that's the thing. What Taylor's needs will be certain things. Okay, well, you might need a bigger home for your children to grow into, or to maybe add a third.
Oh,
you know, see what happens.
Whoa.
Yeah. And what I find too is what you just went through happens with a lot of my clients, where they now get to make the choice for them.
Yeah.
Now, as parents, we're always saying, okay, well, this is what we need for a house because of the kids, and this is where they go to school, and this is what we want to entertain them with.
When you actually have to make it for yourself.
Yeah.
When you actually have to make it for yourself, it's one of the toughest decisions we have to do.
It's a big deal.
It is. And I deal with a very broad base of clients, and there's been a few lately like yourself that's going, well, my kids are grown up and they want me here, or my daughter's now going to university, or maybe a new man's pulling me this way.
Yeah.
You're like, well, what do I want? And that keeps them chasing their tail.
Yeah.
Versus saying, hey, if I choose this, then all of a sudden a whole world opens up.
Right. Well, and I mean, a tiny example of how this, and I know that this is how my path is going to unfold. It's like, I was going to rent storage units here, and my brother phoned one day and said, why don't you get a sea can, Shari? I'm like, yeah, like, really, David? What do I do? Just hook it onto the back of my Murano and pull it up?
Pull it in?
Yeah, okay, that's a good idea. So, because
redneck.
Totally. So he said, well, actually, I just found one in Sherwood Park. A friend of mine that night went and looked at it, said it's great. And I said to David, so how do you actually get these sea cans? But, our friend Bill. So he takes, like, it was literally in the matter of 48 hours.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is actually the easiest thing I've ever done.
Yep.
And even I was like, okay, this is a crazy idea. And my father-in-law says, Shari, you'd be a fool not. He's a businessman. He's very wise. You'd be a fool not to buy. That's a great investment. Oh, okay. So click. I mean, it literally happened in 48 hours. Yep. And all of a sudden, and then all these people showed. And I do think, I don't recommend anybody sell their house and just become homeless. But I do think that there's this really exciting place for me at this stage of my life, like you said. I can gypsy it for a bit, and it's okay because it's my choice. And if you think I'm crazy, well, you can just think that.
Yeah.
Because I'm
And
getting
it
ready for a
sounds, I think it
trip and-
sounds really easy, like now that it's happened, but like in the midst of it all, like you're like, whoa, should I be doing this? Is this right?
listen,
Am I
like,
not going to be there for my daughter?
I
Blah,
had
blah,
to
blah,
downsize,
right?
and Kate and I really talked about this lots way before we even put a for sale sign up. There was a lot of tears and there was a lot of breakouts. Like, I mean, it was a big deal. Like, it physically and emotionally took me.
It's not easy.
It's not easy, but it did flow really easily.
It
can
can
become
It
easy.
can be easy, but we make it hard.
Yeah.
So there's two things I want the whole listeners to hear today is the power of choice.
Yeah.
And it can be easy, but we make it difficult.
Yeah.
Yes.
If we can get out of the way and let things happen and solutions present themselves. So we take a profession that has a buttload of uncertainty in it.
Yeah.
And try to create some certainty for our clients to get them through it.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing is they've got to be able to, sometimes they just trust in our trust saying, we'll get you there.
Yeah.
As I said, I don't want to advertise that she's my
Yeah.
first homeless person, but it's like, because I say, hey, we got you. Like, we're not going to let you get through something and just dump you out in your head.
Yeah.
We'll make sure your next spot's planned or your next step with you.
Yeah.
I can't do it for them, but we can encourage them and get them out of their own way.
Yeah.
But that's the big thing is all the uncertainty. But then after that subsides, all these freedom and choice can show up.
When I did have like a kind of a spiritual guide helping me here, it's like, trust the process, Shari. It's going to unfold. It's going to be fine.
Yep.
Friend/spiritual guide.
And
But
I think it's just being okay sometimes with the step at a time. I mean, you can have an intention of where you want to go, and then you just have to kind of trust in the unfoldment of it. Like, what is it that you desire?
Yep.
And then continue to show up to meet that desire.
Yeah.
But most people don't know what they desire. That's the most difficult part of my wife often said, I said, my toughest client is a person that does not know what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she said, what do you mean? I said, because how do you satisfy somebody that they know they need something, but they don't know what they want.
Yeah.
Or they'll limit themselves on what they can have. You can have the cheapest house in the market. You can have the biggest one. It's your choice to do it. You'll find the how.
Yeah.
Well, and even though I don't know where my end result or where I'm going to plant my feet, I stayed at my friend Daniela's the first night, and I was scared to go to sleep because I thought if I wake up in the morning and think that this was a bad idea, I am screwed. Like, I'm screwed. I'll be living in Taylor's basement and Chris's basement. I'm going to be living in people's basement. And I woke up, and I remember it's like one night at a time. It's kind of like, the days of the bad hangovers. You're like, oh my God, what did I do? But from my neck down, in my whole body, I was like, no, like this was the right thing. It felt so right. So I've never had any regrets. It's been a lot of work. Moving sucks. But when it's allowing people to show up and
But
help.
it's a shedding process.
It's a shedding process and decluttering and downsizing.
Yeah.
Powerful. And I want to do more. I thought when I saw that 40-foot sea can, I'm like, oh, I can have other people can store their stuff.
Yeah, she told me she'll come to my house now.
Oh,
I
yeah.
said, oh, well, you might need the whole winter.
That sea can is full, you guys.
Yep.
I got rid of so much stuff, and I'm still excited to keep downsizing.
Yep.
I just don't want to be weighted down with all the things that I don't need to weight
For sure.
myself down with.
And that's maybe, again, stage of life.
It is a stage, yeah.
Taylor might be saying, well, it's still toys and it's still stuff for
Oh,
little ones.
it's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff, and it's still car seats and diapers and stuff. Where it's for Shari and myself, it's like, okay, my oldest two are gone.
Yeah.
Take your stuff to Calgary.
Yeah.
Love you lots, but
What
it's
do
now
we
yours.
really need?
Yeah.
What do we really need? And,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is that we're through the stuff phase of our life.
Yeah.
And now maybe through the experience stage or the planning stage or what do her and I want next and
Yes.
create together where
Exactly.
that could be fun. It could be scary, but it can be fun.
It's exciting. It is exciting. And I really want to thank you, Chris, and Century 21 for I honestly, I mean, we talked about it before. I was going to do this privately. Oh my God, not my cup of tea. Like, I am so,
You would have been
so
backing
grateful
out.
for Century 20. Chris and all the people that came in to take pictures and do all the things. I was just like, thank God, this is not my problem anymore. Like, they are going to deal with it all. And you did beautifully.
No,
So.
it's fun. We're just one of your professionals that's, doctor, dentist, lawyer, accountant, realtor.
Yeah.
We're just one of your tribe or your crew
Yeah.
is to say, if I need something, I call them.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to paint my house, I call my painter.
Yeah.
I would make a terrible mess of
Yeah.
it. Just like if you said, well, selling my house privately, there's a lot of steps to it.
It's funny. Quickly, I was on a walk and I visited with this fellow that had a for sale sign, not Century 21, and he was mowing his lawn and the house was empty, and he has been trying to sell his house it's going almost a year now, and he's like, I'm already down below what I need to cover my mortgage. He can't sell his house.
Right.
And it would look like a lovely house. Yeah. I'm thinking, ours really actually did happen pretty seamlessly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we laugh because you had 2 kicks at the cat.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like, could have, didn't work out.
I know. I made the
table.
choice in the first round.
No, it's all good. But we can laugh about it now. Just say, you had 2 opportunities to sell your home to 2 different people. That's wonderful, because there are people out there that,
that's not happening.
That's not happening, and they're
frustrated. I know my heart.
He
was frustrated, and my heart went out to him, but.
Yeah. And you both have bought and sold in the past. It's all in the decision and the choice of it.
It is. Yeah. It's when you're ready to pull the trigger, it'll happen.
Yeah.
And if you're not quite, it won't.
It will not. No.
And you have to align with it. Like that man that's struggling right now, like, has he really done everything he's needed to do to sell that house? Like, probably not.
Yeah, and there's some uncomfortableness when we show up on the scene and we say, hey, you got to clean this up. You got to make this look more presentable. You got to.
Right.
Well, that's some uncomfortable for people, because, it's a very vulnerable position when you sell your home. You're opening up your life to the public.
Yeah.
So when we come in and say, hey, we got to clean this up. We got to thin this out. The counter's got to be clean. They're like, what? But it's, if you want to sell, you'll do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And the quickness of the possession, and then we can wrap on that, is, you're right. I believe it didn't matter if it's 2 weeks or 2 months.
I really thought that too, Chris.
You got to, when you make the decision to do it,
those last 2 weeks are nuts anyways.
Full speed ahead.
Full speed ahead.
Yeah, it is. And maybe just because I'm a little bit psychotic that way, or it's like my wife and I did the same thing in 3 weeks back in the fall. And you go like, most people say, how did you do it? We just did it.
I know. Yeah.
Like,
but again, for me, like the people and the teams and the crews and the vehicles and the C-cans, the things that showed up, I could not have made that. It was just confirmation that it was the right thing in the right time, and it just helped me to continue to be grateful for this next leg of the journey.
And I'm hoping that people can hear that or listening in. It's like the process, you're right, the how will show up.
Yep.
We're just here to choose, and then obviously we have to act after that. But if the choice doesn't get made, then the how can show up.
Yeah.
And that's half of it.
I remember when I bought my house, this last house that I'm in, and we bought the house and it was just terrible paint color. And we just aligned it. We just all of a sudden the whole family was there and we painted the house in a week, the whole entire house, baseboards.
And it happened, it was
everything, trim, everything, and we were in it. Like it's when you decide.
Yep.
Yeah.
And decide, put in the work, do the actions, do it, and all of a sudden
show up.
Oh, your house is so beautiful now, Taylor. Like, yeah, because I chose and put in the work to do it. That's why. It's like it just doesn't clean itself or renovate itself. It's
paint itself. Yeah.
We chose and made it happen. Yeah. So
it's exciting.
Well, we're glad that the sold sign's up. We're glad that you're moved out. We're glad that the C-can is dry and high.
Right.
So you're not living in a van down by the river, which I'm glad to report.
I know that was
She's
my
good.
line.
She's got her mail coming to my house.
Oh yeah, I got her mail.
Yeah,
I know.
Shari knows she's got my house.
Yeah. No fixed address. Or,
exactly. Homeless.
Yeah, homeless. I'm leaving it at 1. I'm only going to let that happen once. But it was a choice for her to be homeless, and for those of you listening, it was her choice.
It was not hassle pushing me out of my house to make a quick sale. It was my choice, and I am excited, and I'll keep you guys posted on to where my life leads me, but
because
I'm excited.
It's fun. We'll have clients that'll sell their properties and leave, and sometimes they come back. Sometimes they're on to bigger and better things. You just never know where life's going to take you.
And it's just, I'm excited for this next chapter where I would have really been regretful if I would have just bought a condo in Lloyd. I really would have, because I would have felt trapped. Yeah. Right? Now I can go try a condo in Kelowna or in Calgary or in Edmonton or in Arizona.
The freedom.
I want the freedom.
That's what you're doing.
We want freedom, and at the end of the day, as long as we're not scared to do that and step up and do that, then all sorts of things.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, thanks for your time today and your comments, and thank you, obviously, Shari, for allowing us to handle that for you.
Well, thank you for walking me through it and letting me have a what is this, Taste of Fame or Oprah-esque?
In the podcast room here.
In the podcast room.
Well, then episode 3 would have to be wherever you land, you can come tell us about your buying experience.
Tell us about Italy.
Yeah, exactly. Or if we could talk Taylor into moving here, that'll be episode 3.
Okay,
that
guys.
sounds exciting.
Hold me to it.
Yeah.
If she adds more kids to the litter or something like
exactly.
that. So it's all good. All right, ladies, thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
And everybody out there, wherever you listen, subscribe or find your stuff, tune in, subscribe, love us, whatever you do in the ether that happens in this wonderful land of podcasting. So that's a wrap for today. We'll look forward to hearing from you, or hopefully you tuning in on the next episode. So take care.